All right, here's some little tidbits for you about driving and some operations for ambulance, keeping you safe on the streets. There are a lot of ambulance accidents each year. The first thing we want to make sure that we are doing, and I can't tell you how many times I see this, and it's ridiculous, I don't know why, but wear your seatbelt. Anytime you're driving or in an ambulance, in the front especially, there's no excuse to not be wearing your seatbelt. It is state law. It is good practice. We all know better. How many times do we run those ejection accidents where people should have been wearing their seatbelt and they might have been just fine, but instead they're now dead on the side of the road because they weren't wearing their seatbelt? We all see that all the time, and yet there's still some of us that do not wear our seatbelts. I even had a partner once that we were responding to a call like 3 in the morning, and he didn't like wearing his seatbelt for whatever reason, and the truck kept dinging at him. Hey, the wonderful little seatbelt alarm kept going off, and about 10 minutes into the response, he started complaining that the that the truck kept dinging at him about not wearing a seatbelt. I was like, really? It's not that hard. Put your seatbelt on. It's dinging at you for a reason. Wear your seatbelt. I promise you, I've been in an ambulance crash, a rollover ambulance crash. I walked away. I was wearing my seatbelt. My partner, who was not wearing a seatbelt, when the ambulance came to a stop, he was laying on top of me because it was laying on its passenger side, and I was in the passenger seat. He was laying on top of me. He had a broken back. I walked away without a scratch. I was wearing my seatbelt. He was not. So there's no excuse not to be wearing your seatbelt. In the back, I know it is kind of hard to, but anytime you're able to, put your seatbelt on. If you're taking a transfer and you're not doing much else, or whatever it might be, throw your seatbelt on. It's just safe practice. Saves a lot of lives. There's a reason that it's there. There's a reason that the truck will ding at you if you don't wear your seatbelt. All right, that's a little soapbox for me there. Make sure you are driving with caution, even when you have your lights and sirens on. Make sure you're using very defensive driving. I will say, whenever you are transporting a patient, make sure you transport a patient and drive like you have your grandma on the back. Don't be real aggressive and hard stops, hard turns, stuff like that. Be very cautious and easygoing. Yeah, you can maybe go through the stoplights or whatever like that, but still be gentle with that patient. That's why I always tell people, just drive like you've got your grandma on the back and you want a nice smooth ride for your grandma. That's the best way to do it. Even when you're driving lights and sirens. When you're driving lights and sirens, you can increase your top speed. Instead of doing the speed limit, which maybe is 65, you can do 75 or 80. But whenever you start hitting traffic or taking turns and stuff, you should still be slowing down way in advance, being a smooth operator there for that. Because your partner or whoever might be in the back with the patient is still trying to do stuff, and they need a smooth ride so that they can perform their job and do it safely. And it's a lot easier on the patient too. All right, right of way and the ability to go through stoplights, drive fast, do all that stuff is a privilege. The fact that cars pull over to the right side of the road for us, it is a privilege. As much as we love to scream and yell at bad drivers, just remember that obtaining that right of way is a privilege. If we hit somebody because we're trying to drive fast and drive erratic, it is going to be our fault, and that's the way it is. Just remember, it's a privilege, and that they're not required to do that. Be courteous with your driving. That's kind of the overview of this. Just be easy with it and courteous. Another little soapbox: if you're on the side of a roadway, especially in Oklahoma, I know it's state law, and I believe it is a federal law as well, wear your safety vest. 100% of the time, have that safety vest on. PD and other stuff, it's a tactical decision for them, so they may not have their safety vests on. But for us, there's no excuse not to have our safety vests on. Put it on that. Also, when you're on the side of a road, interstates or whatever, busy highway, stuff like that, try to minimize your time on those. 100% of the time, those patients should be load and go. They should not be a stay and play type patient. It doesn't matter if it is just a couple bumps and scratches that they want to go get checked out for. It should be a load and go. Get off that highway as fast as you can. You're just asking for someone to hit you or some other incident to occur, because of the longer you're there, the higher chance that that's going to happen. So load and go with those guys, get out of the way, and try to be safe with it all. Now, there's a lot more to driving, of course. At least in Oklahoma, you're going to have to take the traffic incident management, the TIMS class, whatever that stands for. And they'll teach you more about driving. You have to have an EVOC course, of course. And they'll teach you more about driving. This is just kind of some tips for you.